So, hello. Let's do the karmic lesson to date. Context, all right? I have got a split screen, and the reason for that is that, I, after meditating, have written down some notes. So I just want to, go to if required. Background on what is a Malkuthian Key, all right? So, every day I do a spread, a Celtic spread for the collective. And this, I do it solely for me personally because what I'm feeling, I want to see if it's, if this is mine. Look at the collective, see what needs to be transmuted, where I focus my energy on as well. And some days I feel soul led to post these collective readings, and other days I do not. This day, however, I didn't post the original spread. However, from that spread, there were 4 major arcana. So when there's 4 or more major arcana, that means that the divine really, there's some really important stuff on a soul level, more so than on a mundane level, all right, that is going on. So with that in mind, those 4 cards, each is a key, right? So the very first card was the sun. Wow, I'm just seeing here that light is awesome, but yeah. Look, this will be the 3rd time. There we go. So the sun. So this being the first key, all right? So now we'll do, the lesson to date spread and the 10 cards associated with this card in mind. Now, when we look at where we are energetically, okay, when it comes to the sun, I mean, first and foremost, you look at what our star is doing right now, the solar flares that are happening. It's pretty amazing, actually. And we're feeling, we're feeling the light codes, the downloads that we're receiving from this, all right? This activation process is pretty out there in the sense of so good, so good. Now, when we look at the sun, again, the sun is conscious, all right? We can connect to the sun from our hearts. It's the only place that we can connect to our sun. And the best place to connect to the sun is from our heart, because in that moment when you are connected to the sun, your whole soul is completely exposed. It's just a beautiful surrender. It truly is. And if you're somebody like me who the universe is teaching me to love me through nature, not through man per se, or a human being, right? It's actually, my love of self is coming because of how much I love nature, that really beautiful empress energy, all right? So to expose, my soul, my heart, open to, a source such as the sun, our star, is truly a remarkable thing. And it's joyful and liberating, all right? And which is exactly what this card and the energy around this card is depicting. It is depicting on having, we look at the card prior to the sun, which is the moon, and the moon is the final test, which is faith, all right? So having faced these trials of faith, all right, and overcome them, we have severed, the soul ties that we have to the earthly plane, and in that liberation is freedom. We know where we are solely free, okay? And that is adjoinment, and that is attainment. And there's just absolute wonder, because now we understand our true natures, all right? And not only our true natures, but you know, that God's source within us, and the rejoice from that, all right? So this is the energy that's the next 10 cards are relating to, in a sense, all right? Like the now, where we are, like now, the karmic lesson to date. So here is the sun. So what covers the sun, all right, is this amazingness. Okay, so this is what was drawn. So it was the Emperor. Amazing energy, all right? It's, you know, we have a lot of tarot readers place the Emperor with Aries, okay? But what we must understand is that, yeah, we do have the symbology of the ram, which is Aries energy, absolutely, but we also look at Scorpio, because Scorpio and Mars, and Aries shared the same planet, which is Mars. But anyway, I digress. So this is what is currently covering the energy here, and it's perfect because here we have the divine masculine. This is the masculine within us, all right? And the lessons that we are learning here is that, you know, because we learn, you know, that we have authority over the earthly plane and the spiritual plane, we now see that in our fellow man, all right? We see that. And we also too, you know, having made the choice of living in humility, all right, because we are in, the masculine is in complete heart operation, coming from the heart, all right, completely coming from the heart, because here we can see like both the colors of the blood to and from the heart. And there's also representation of the earthly plane, but underneath is, you know, the armor. So this is battle ready, completely understanding that sometimes there is a battle not just in the physical side of things, because again, you know, you look at you know, the energy of Aries. Aries is, you know, the god of war, right? So when you look at, you know, what the masculine offers us, now the masculine too, when I say masculine, please understand that, you know, we following the laws, the universal laws. One is, you know, the universal law of gender, all right? And this is, you know, that we have both masculine and both feminine within us. So of course what is within us is going to be reflected outside of us in you know, being a masculine, divine masculine male, all right? Male. It's not male, Vanessa. This is, you know, energy, all right? Masculine energy. But it's the virile energy. The divine masculine is virile. You do not have... If your divine masculine does not have the virility of Aries, it is not... You are not experiencing a divine masculine. The only way that the feminine responds to the divine masculine is through his magnificent virility. That's how we know. Okay. Anyway, I digress, right? So, now, so what the masculine teaches us is that in order to respect the authority that we have, we respect it in others, all right? And that's by doing that is that we follow, you know, the highest form of light within us, okay? And that is our thought form. So, you know, when we see the growth, particularly when it comes to the masculine, all right, the divine masculine outside of us, this energy it's not an energy where we want to, fall victim of envy and insecurities and all this side of things, okay? Because we must understand that, to be in this place where the divine masculine is come from, discipline, self-discipline, all right? And there's a lot of work involved in that. It's not just, oh, well, I'm going to be a divine masculine, No. No. Sorry. Yes. So also bear in mind as well that he is fully balanced within him because he holds the ankh, all right? He holds the ankh, so he knows that in order for, there is unity with only once we have that unity within, okay, which is the feminine side and the masculine side, because it's only with both can life form, okay. So he teaches us the universal laws as well, all right. And the reason that he teaches it is because we are guided by him, all right. We are guided by the universal laws, okay, that he teaches. Just like with the feminine, because we look at the card before. So to be in this place now is an understanding that we've come from Empress energy, that all is one energy. The very first, it's not really the first law, universal law, but it's certainly a big one, that we are one, that we, nature is us as we are is of it, but what happens now, having that, that flow, abundance, that nature is the abundance of feeling, how, divine feminine is just love, just feel, okay? And it's not so much, it's more of a controlled now that it reaches the masculine, all right? Because the masculine understands that, he does not give in to his emotions, or he does not give in solely to his logic, all right? He's the balance of complete both aspects within him. So this is a wonderful card to be here with the sun, because, this solar energy, it's freaking amazing. Absolutely good. It so is good. Also too, because of the relevance of Scorpio and Aries together, we must look at, Pluto is, going direct the day before the Aries full moon. So this is huge energy on a very big scale, and it's there for us to use, all right? It's there because this huge energy is going, this is the energy that's going to balance what else is going, on the other side of the scale to us, where we are light, and then we have the opposing forces, all right? Good energy. But it's also energy that they're going to use as well. They're going to capitulate onto it. Is that a word? I don't know. I think I just made up a word. All right, moving on. So, what do we got? This is the nature of the karmic energy at this time, okay? Which is the world. All right. So, our soul is eternal, and this is the wonderment of this card. Our soul is eternal. So, over this life and past lives, all right, gathering experience after experience after experience, towards God's universal plan, or God, source energy, however you see, whatever you view God to be, all right. Now, one experience about this, okay, it gives birth to another in an eternal cycle of life and death, right? So our existence is continuous in, it's changing but never ending, but it just as the soul passes to one form of another, all right? So each life is like a glimpse into that eternity. It's a chance for us to, define and redefine, our ideals towards, source energy, God energy, if you will, It's also to a time where, you know, fear and indecision, you know, they must be overcome, okay? And it's always one step of that journey, you know, is, you know, by overcoming and intercoming, you know, our fears, our insecurities, whatever they may be. It's a continual cycle of that step closer to source energy, right? And it's always, you know, the journey back to source, which is just beautiful, you know? So let's look at it. So when, you know, when we look at this card and we look at how it's, you know, its effect of us on a collective level, many of us are seeing, all right? Many of us are seeing and realizing and remembering, you know, our past lives and clearing our karma, ready for this moment in life, all right? This moment that we're in collectively. And it gives you like an idea, doesn't it? Like, of just how fucking mind-blowing, you know, the God Source energy is. That, you know, our form has gone and undertaken many, 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 many forms over the ages to reach this point now on the wheel, all right? Having learnt the, you know, the lessons and the experiences. So that is pretty amazing. So now, you know, we look at how, you know, that's relative with the sun, how that's relative with the, you know, the masculine element within us and without us as well, okay? Yes, right. So, having said all of this, right, so what is it? Like, so what is it, like the root and the cause for this karmic lesson? Ta-da! Love, harmony, major change, major choice, okay? This is pretty big, you know, it truly is. Here we can see, like when we look at it, we have the divine masculine, which is represented as conscious, divine masculine and divine feminine, which is representative of subconscious, Archangel Raphael, which is represented as, or our superconscious representative archangel, our subconscious represented as the divine feminine, and the consciousness represented as the divine masculine, right? Also, reason, logic, intuition, okay, source, energy. So our conscious self, our reason, our logic, all right, realizes that the only way to get to source energy is through the subconscious, through our intuition, listening to our souls, our spirit, our intuition, okay, completely. It's not a direct link from here to there. In order to get to, you know, A to C, it's not A to C, it's there is a process. And what happens is when we start to look at our subconscious, you know, and we start clearing our karma, because essentially our subconscious is, you know, not just, oh, look, it's huge. Once we start to clear this, then we start to, you know, access, because this here, our subconscious, this is like our patternings and, you know, cycles, all this sort of jazz, everything, you know, that we've seen through in this life, right? Because once we clear this karma in this life, we can then start to remember. We've got access to the superconsciousness where we can remember our past lives and the lessons involved, and then we, you know, we see, you know, we feel differently because we feel the connections, you know. We, right now it's just like, you know, this understanding of like, hey, I know you. I don't know how, like, what is it, you know? But then, you know, once we, you know, look at, you know, and do our shadow work and all this sort of stuff, we then see that, and, you know, shadow self, like triggering and all this sort of jazz, we then see that the connections that we have to souls, you know, now, they've linked in many lives before. Many, 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 many lives before. Okay. And that's just it, like really in a nutshell, the Lovers. But when you look at the major change and major choice, you know, we must be held accountable for it because we have ultimately free will. Whatever we choose, all right, this is the card where whatever choice that we make, it's not so much that there's no turning back, but this is huge. It's like, you know, people are realizing that being working a 9 to 5 is just, you know, why be plugged into that. So here we're looking at, you know, a major change, major choice is to just up and go, you know, live off grid. You know, these are the kind of choices. This is travelling across seas to be with somebody that you feel a very, very deep connection to. You know, it's big. It's not small change. I've got visitors, but that's fine. I don't have visitors. They live with me. So, yeah, all right. So when we now look at, you know, what is the root and the cause of the karmic lessons, we can really certainly begin to understand this, because also too, let's look at it that the 6 correlates to this year, which is, you know, the Lovers. You know, 2022 breaks down to a 6. Okay. And because with 3 times 2, you know, 2, you know, there always is that, you know, gestative period, a waiting period, and, you know, somebody else or another thing of great importance, you know, is part of the deal too. All right. Okay, so this is the first conscious sign of karmic activity which has taken place in the last 10 days. So here, this is the Chariot, fast moving. This is rapid development. People are, you know, souls are evolving on a very, very fast level, because we've got people that, you know, in, wow, this is, how do I say this? This guide here is about learning the lessons that we are not a body with a soul, but we are a soul with the body, all right? And that we do not give in to our emotions. We do not just come from our emotions, and we do not just come from our logic, all right? It's about a balance, bringing together, you know, the wonderful universal law of polarity, opposites, all right, through your sheer will of, you know, through the force of your will, okay, in alignment, balancing the energies. It's a really wonderful lesson to learn, because we must adapt, you know, to the laws that are on this earthly plane, but we also too, you know, must be governed by the universal and natural laws also, you know. And what the Emperor is teaching us about us, or the masculine is teaching us about, you know, control, about emotions, all right, and that we have authority over that. We are sovereign beings, you know. So that'll last, you know, after, in the last 10 days, maybe a day or 2 to go, who knows, but that's it. Now the Emperor there represents the collective energy now forming, which is, this is where Aries again joins Scorpio. Okay, death. So here, okay, one of the biggest fear that humankind has is, you know, the fear of death. That is that it's the end, that it's finality. No, it certainly is. It's not the end. It's a transition of one plane of existence to another. All right. So this is coming into form. So let's have a look too on the energies that are approaching us. All right. We've got the full moon in Aries, and we've also got, you know, and I know there's other aspects as well, but these are the ones that really stand to light for me, is the energy of Pluto, which is going to go direct the day before the full moon in Aries. So it's going to be good. It's going to be big, all right? And so it's, you know, very important to understand that, you know, physical death is not the end, okay? It's a rebirth of the soul from one phase of existence, and it's always a journey back to source, okay? And again, you know, so coming from, you know, the death of the ego on the earthly plane, all right? It's therefore that we can have that transformation to access our higher selves and come from that place of operation in our hearts, all right? So we lose that fear of our bodily death, and we accept that death is a part, it's a natural part of soul progression, all right? Where there is life, there is death, okay? But to draw to your attention here, see here, like the sun, all right, with the two pillars. It's important, especially in this reading, my goodness, because we'll come back to that. But this is an awakening, all right? This is an awakening to the tests of faith. So this is what may or may not come into form. It is a awakening. There's the energy now. Remember that we have free will, and whatever you decide or choose to do after, you know, if you're drawn to this reading, is entirely your choice. This is a guide. But I do want to highlight this because we will be getting to that. So now, the nature and karmic influence of the collective occurring within the next 10 days, okay, starting in 24 hours, is the Fool. The Fool. So when we begin, this is, you know, starting a new cycle, and having learned the lessons. Remember that we had here the world, which is the nature of the karmic energy, all right? So we've had that understanding of where, you know, everything has led up to this point of time for our soul's evolution, and now we've got a new journey, a complete new cycle, a complete new soul cycle is about to take form and within the next 10 days. And that is so exciting, you know, on a collective level. That is incredibly exciting, because what this means is that, you know, it's meaning that we are not of the world, meaning that we are not bound by, you know, the earthly plane, that we've still got that in, you know, untouched innocence and purity of our soul, having learnt the lessons, all right, of the world. But the wonderful thing is that we are fully tapped into our higher selves, higher consciousness. It's really beautiful, a beautiful cycle. I'm going to keep this card as well, because we'll come back to it. Because where the next card is where our apprehension lies, which is with the Hierophant. Okay, so the thing that could stop us, or if we, you know, get too fearful of this card, it could stop us from beginning this new cycle. And this is, you know, the you know, having learned the lessons of you know, with the Emperor, the authority that we have on the earthly and the spiritual planes, all right, governed, we now, the keys to it, the keys that the Hierophant gives us is of knowledge and of wisdom. But the only way to obtain these keys is through experience, all right, which we have experienced through, like with the Emperor, okay, and the Empress and the High Priestess and the Magician, all right, like all the cards preceding this point, you know, in our soul's evolution. So when we reach this point of you know, our soul's evolution, right, It's a place where we now, knowing what we've experienced, okay, and that is a knowledge, and the wisdom is turning that knowledge into light, guidance, to the collective. It is also too, a matter of, we know, having got these two keys, we know now when we must openly defend what we believe in, and openly oppose those which really offends our consciousness. Okay? And of course this can be done physically, can also be done spiritually. It is being done spiritually. This is a spiritual war. We must always bear that in mind. This is a card of that backs this up. We are in a spiritual warfare. It's psychological, all right? So what can stop us is the fear of the stuff that is making our soul, or no, it's not making our soul, but what our soul is offended by. All right? So there is a time when we must pick up the sword of truth, So this year, be mindful. This is something to be mindful of. This is an energy to be mindful of the apprehensions, because look, we can see what, we all know what opposes, our soul, what is opposing us, the energies that are out there, the governments, the institutions, and the entities. So, be mindful of it, don't give in to it, alright? The lesson in here is that, there is a complete new cycle, a complete wonderful cycle. Alright, so the attitude of others around us regarding the situation is the sun. So look at this beautiful energy. Like, here we are in this energy when we first start, and now those around us are feeling this energy too. So I'm not going to go into this too much, but the influence of it is, for this card to come up twice is a really big deal, put it this way. It really is, because there's just it's like a rejoice. Imagine, like being in a collective when all of us are freeing ourselves and severing the ties that bind us to the earthly plane, and coming back to our true natures, all right, in nature. Because remember, what is within us is outside of us as well. What is below and above, all that sort of jazz, all the universal laws, universal laws of rhythm and correspondence, all relevant and wonderful and perfect. So it just gives me joy knowing this. It really does. Now, when we look at the positive nature and success of our karmic situation, so this is on a collective level, all right? On a collective level, we are seeing these tests of our faith as a positive. Because when you look at the card, all right? When you look at this card, you can see that what is illuminating it, first and foremost, the moon. The only thing that we can only see the moon is because of the sun that illuminates it. And we've got, the sun energy times 2 in the reading, okay? Huge, big. And what is the moon energy that we're in, the waxing moon to, heading to a full moon in Aries. Mars energy. So, so of all the experiences that we encounter, on the earthly plane, the final test is faith. Because here we go through the pillars of faith, because now we're passed through. We don't have to rely on the dependence on reason, all right, of logic and reason, all right. because we in here, we are submitting our wills to all that is. All right? We are submitting to, it's not our rational mind, it's not our reason mind, it's not how we reason, it's our intuitive side, intuition, all right? Feminine aspect, all right? Because it's there when we fully, understand, that faith, the power of faith is what sustains us, It truly is. Because here, the only thing look at this, in the darkest period, right? In the darkest period that, is before us, has become how we see this positive side, is that the only thing that is illuminated is the path that we walk on. All right? We're not being distracted. We're, by illusion, we're just simply walking our path. Why are we here? What is this purpose that we have? Which falls in so perfectly to the karmic result and the lesson learned, my God. The karmic result and lesson learned, which is judgment. Knowing our divine purpose, It's only, we can truly see what our purpose is through our own higher consciousness. Alright? So here we leave behind all, getting bitten by mosquitoes. Here we leave behind all that was meant to, bind us and secure, this, the security to us, the things that, our comfort zone, if we will, and now we're redirecting our life and walking our talk, if you will, to the purpose that we are all here for. What is our mission? We've all got one. Most of us have got one. We're called to mission. We're called to our purpose, That's simply being source energy, realizing that life is, a life has meaning. So, having said all of this, and like this energy, it's an amazing place to be right now on this earth. It's pretty amazing, all right. So that's all I have, and I hope that you resonated with that. And if you didn't, that's completely cool. Remember, we're each and every one of us is on a sliding scale of in our soul's journey, and we've all here, there are just anchoring the frequency, really, there are those of us that anchor this frequency. There are those of us that are in a going deep shadow work, okay, that rebirth, and this is what's coming in, like the energy that's forming around us, like that death energy, all right, the card of the fifth card, death, I see it, I feel it, this going within and transmuting, turning lead into gold, the alchemists that we all are, finding the philosopher's stone within. And that is the sun energy. The sun is gold. The sun equates to gold. So, thank you. Thank you. Peace out.